So it's been about 2 months since I've done the last video. A lot of stuff happened. I upgraded my computer so that I could render videos better, and also college. But that's not really important here. So what we're doing is the AN-94 video, because the AN-94 being the last three guns added to the game is, well, it's actually very strong in multiplayer, and AN-94 is a lot of people's favorites in the Girls Frontline community. So I decided to make a video about her weapon. So just to break down. That 1 milliwatt laser is actually not supposed to be there. This is actually the most accurate I could get to her gun in game. Now let me explain. You see this AN-94 sonic break here? If I were to show it off, it looks like two spears at the end of the gun. So actually, if I pull up an image of AN-94 right here, you can see that she has the same attachment on her gun, the little two balls. And I'll also showcase what else is going on here. So as for her optic, the reason why I'm using Viper is you can see that the actual glass where you can see the dot is on the end of the optic. However, nothing here, including her own thermal sight, as far as I can tell, do not look like that at all. So the thing that I had to do in order to get it close was just use the Viper Reflex sight. Now I can give it a blue dot, which would match the blue light on her gun. If you can see the blue light there. And there's some other details, and by other details I mean that's literally it. She just has the sonic break and the reflex sight. So I had to improvise with attachments. So sleight of hand doesn't actually change the appearance of the gun, and it just increases reload speed. So I decided to keep that one in there. And I can't really see what her grip looks like because her hand's on it. So I just put stipple grip tape there. But otherwise, if you're trying to copy her loadout, she only uses 4 out of the 5 attachment slots. Now, of course, I'm going to go investigate the perks. So the reason why I'm going for cold-blooded is, as shown in Isomere, she's able to evade a lot of detection, whatnot, due to Digimind magic or whatever hacking ability. She also, Ange also said she has this mystical sixth sense to know when things are wrong. So high alert is there to represent that, and she hacks stuff a lot and locates equipment, so I decided Spotter would be the most accurate perk set there. As for lethals, she's using C4 because they actually used the C4 to collapse the tunnels in Isomere, I'm fairly sure. And she used smoke grenades for AR-15 to get away, I'm also sure. Now, if you're wondering, this is familiar because this is exactly what UMP-45 used. And that's because whenever they have explosives in Girls Frontline, it's always C4, and they always run away using smoke grenades. So this is going to be a reoccurring theme. Jumping to a game from the start here. And I've already made a small little video clip explaining what I think of the loadout and how it functions in the game and how viable it is. That will be the clip after this. And after that, we'll have a statistical breakdown of what this gun even does. I mean, regarding the attachments, like what's its aiding down sight speed, strafing speed, etc., etc. For now, we'll just, this is just going to be a little small gameplay. It's just 66 on Piccadilly, which isn't too crazy, too exciting, but you at least get to see me use the gun, and since it's Heat and Deathmatch, it won't take too long. So, in the AN-94 in general, it has a feature called the Hyperburst. It's what's made it popular in real life. Now, the ability is it actually fires 2 rounds each time you pull the trigger at, realistically, I think 1,700 RPM. It's very fast. Somebody right here. Where'd he go? He jumped out the window. Anyway, so that translates over to this game, because look. See, I can fire extremely fast in 2-round bursts like that, but when you hold it down, it decreases the fire rate. So, it's a little tricky to use the gun in this game. So what you want to do is, when you're switching targets, instead of just spray transferring over, you actually want to initiate a fresh burst. However, doing that may damage your performance with other guns, so I actually don't try doing that. This is actually a fairly high skill ceiling assault rifle due to the hyperburst feature. Bye. Anyway, you can see with the sleight of hand that the reload speed is actually quite fast, and even though I'm not running anything other than stipple grip tape, this thing also goes fast. See what I mean by it's hard to try to continuously get burst rather than just holding down the trigger and tracing them manually. We're going to try to sneak over here. Enemy's going to come past here. Now we get out of there. Without a Merc foregrip or a 1 milliwatt laser, you don't really get much hipfire with this gun. As you can see, it's fairly wide when moving. It also runs the 5.45 rounds, so that means unless the enemy is running another AN-94 or an AK-47 with the 5.45 conversion, you will not be able to pick up ammo from weapons on the ground. It's not nearly as common as 5.56 or even 308. Just something to keep in mind. Is it all that serious? Not really. Oops. Oh, whatever, that's actually good. I'll go in here. So we're gonna go sneak up on the enemy here. I don't have Ghost. They might see me on UAV, unfortunately. Hopefully not. So there we go. We flanked them, got 2 kills. Good for our team. We're still losing, though. So this gun in general has relatively low recoil. And like I said, I haven't said it yet, but the recoil stabilization from the muzzle brake isn't too useful because this thing already has pretty high recoil stabilization. Sorry I stole your kill, buddy. So what you want to do with this gun, it's actually fairly good at close range due to the hyperburst, and it's decent at long range due to the low general recoil of the gun. The main issue is its low fire rate, which is helped by the hyperburst, but if you're not hyperbursting or landing the initial shots, you can see you can get melted by pretty much all other weapons in the game. As I've said, it's a high skill weapon. It's not really something you pick up and be good with. You need to practice with it. I have about 900 kills, I think, or maybe it's 800. But I'm still not used to this gun because when you swap back to something like the M13 or like the Kilo, you kind of realize the hyperburst doesn't exist, and so you play normally again. It's just weird using the AN-94. It changes the way you play a lot. Anyways, you can see I'm garbage at this game right now. It's not really working. The enemy is running high damage, like, how would I say this? The enemy, Jesus Christ. I'm bad positioning. I'm gonna get away from my teammates. Yeah, this is some pretty god-awful gameplay. Holy shit, this is terrible. But yeah, that's when you see the power of the hyperburst active. You can see he just kind of ceased to exist. I'm not sure about the bullet velocity on this gun, but it's not terrible. I can tell you that much. But this is very much a niche weapon, like, to use. Would I use this over the M4? No. Would I use this over the Kilo? No. Would I really use this over the AK in either 7.62 or 5.45? No. It's a cool weapon if you like the gun in real life, and if you're really high skill, you can do good with it. But recommendation is you just use a gun with superior base stat line. I like it a lot, though. There's a reason I have 800 kills with it. It's because I really like the AN-94 in real life as a gun. And I'll never get to use one in real life, so I might as well go use it in the game. Yeah, I don't really want to complain about my team, but if you notice, they're leaving an entire... they're leaving all of mid and right side to the enemy.
Keep fighting. We've got this.
There you go. Yeah, we won. It wasn't a great win, though. I'm fairly sure I went negative. So let's take a look at the final scoreboard when it shows deaths, and then we'll cut off to an analysis of the statistics for this gun, such as in-down sight speed, strafing speed, or really in general what the attachments for this can do. I went positive by 1 kill, which is pretty bad. Damn. So we're going to be jumping into a match here that has already started. So most likely I'm going to include this as part of the video, but not as the main gameplay segment. But I wanted to use this small little game to describe what is the purpose of this AN-94 build. What is it good at? And, well, the thing is, it's actually fairly basic. Like I said, all it really has is stipple grip tape to allow you to move a little faster. And it has it has sleight of hand, which allows you to get in and out of engagements better. Of course, there's just the optic. And the thing here that will actually modify the way you use the gun most will be the sonic break. And if you're wondering what does it do, the answer is genuinely not much, because it's recoil stabilization, not recoil control. If you're wondering what recoil stabilization does, it kind of changes the way your gun has recoil horizontally. So, for example, you see when I'm shooting the gun, the dot is very accurate, it stays on target. On guns with low recoil stabilization, what will happen is that the iron sights will shake, they will actually sway off target, and you will need to adjust using a mental image of what the middle of the screen is in your mind. The AN-94 by default is actually a fairly accurate gun with almost no recoil stabilization issues. So what you want to do is actually go for recoil control. Because of this loadout outside of the optic, so I keep forgetting I'm not running stim. Outside of the optic and the stipple grip tape and sleight of hand, there's actually not much point to running a AN-94 sonic break. It doesn't help you all that much, and much better would be to actually equip a Ranger foregrip or a Merc foregrip in order to maximize close range effectiveness, or use the Ranger foregrip to maximize longer range effectiveness by having recoil control, which matters on this gun, and aiming stability, which decreases weapon sway. Even with stipple grip tape though, you can see that this gun is very steady when it comes to aiming stability. So, the AN-94 basic, like the basic AN-94 is actually pretty good in all stats. There's almost no weakness to this gun, so really you're just going to focus on the basics like aim down sight speed and some recoil control. So here's a little notepad thing I just made real quick to talk about the stats of the AN-94, kind of as a conclusion. So the base aim down sight speed is actually 267 milliseconds. It's average for the assault rifle class, and the base reload speed is 1.52 seconds. Now, here we have a little breakdown of the attachments. We have the AN-94 Sonic Brake, which adds below 17 milliseconds of aim down sight time. I would not recommend this because there's actually no need for a recoil stabilization attachment to the AN-94. It's very stable by default. The stipple grip tape reduces the aim down sight time by about 34 milliseconds. Sometimes it's in between 17 and 34, depending on the gun. But we'll just go for 34. I'd heavily say that's recommended. Anything that makes your gun sprint out faster and aim down sight faster is very good. Here we have sleight of hand, which actually gets rid of 0.4 seconds of the reload time. I recommend that. The base reload time isn't terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible. But speeding up sleight of hand actually makes it faster than most of the assault rifles. So I have no issues recommending that attachment. And the Viper Reflex sight is something I would recommend because I would actually consider it one of the higher tier optics in the game with how much space it takes up when you're aiming down sight and your clearness of sight picture. Anyways, so the kit aim down sight time. If you have these four attachments on, it's roughly 233 milliseconds. Add an arbitrary number below 17 to it, and then you'll get what it probably is, but I haven't measured it, so I'm relying on exclusive ACES numbers. And like I said, when you minus 0.4 seconds from the reload time, you get a reload time of 1 second and 0.12 seconds. Conclusion: this is a very usable kit, and most people would have no issue playing well with it in standard multiplayer. It's like I said, this for the 3 out of the 4 attachments are recommended. But if you want my personal setup, which isn't accurate to what the game is at all, it's just more like here's a personal kit. Like if you like the gun, after trying it in the game, this is what I would recommend. I would switch out the Sonic Brake for a Ranger foregrip, because aiming stability helps you at long range, and recoil control is what this gun needs compared to recoil stabilization. I would swap sleight of hand with the skeleton stock because the base reload speed actually isn't that bad, and the skeleton stock speeds up aim down sight speed and aim walking movement speed. So that one's good. And I would actually add the silo barrel for longer range. If you've noticed, we only use 4 attachments. We totally could have used 5, but it wouldn't be accurate to AN-94's gun in game if we were using all 5 attachments.